Why does navigating Hashimoto's advice on social media feel so overwhelming? And how could we know what is true amidst all of the noise? Today on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast, I am answering a listener question. She sent it to me on Instagram, and she sent me, I think, 5 different content creators, specifically autoimmune or Hashimoto's content creators on Instagram. And she said this: as you can imagine, it can get quite overwhelming with so many people claiming they have found the best way to cope with Hashimoto's and selling their unique program. I have had a private session with you before, and I feel so much better since. I've been taking your advice, and I listen to your podcast, trusting the information you give as an unbiased professional. I hope you can fact check some of these other specialists and maybe react to them on the podcast. She added that I might not want to call him out by name, but then specifically said, I hope they're not spreading misinformation as they all have a big following and some sell their own, quote, health programs. Welcome to the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. This is where you will find clarity and simple, sustainable strategies to feel better. I want to help you figure out your root causes. My name is Esther Yunkin. I am a registered nurse. I spent about 17 years in the emergency department and then got sick and tired of putting Band-Aids on chronic things. I went back to school, and now I have been in holistic health education for about 10 years. I know how exhausting it is to live with fatigue, brain fog, and the ups and downs of Hashimoto's. And that is why I'm here. I'm here to cut through the confusion and to give you practical steps that support your body, calm your immune system, so that you can regain your energy and feel like yourself again. My goal in life is to function on facts. I always want to know the truth, and I want to convey that truth with love and make sure that it is in a simple and sustainable way, in a simple and sustainable package. And so, disclaimer, I do have my own program. I created the Holistic Hashimoto's program for people with Hashimoto's who are looking to figure out their root causes, and they're looking to make simple and sustainable changes so that they can feel like themselves again. And yes, I will be talking about my program as I talk about the others. And to keep myself honest here, I didn't want to have any prejudice looking at other programs or other content creators. I did use AI, and I ran my program through the same questions that I asked of other programs so that I'd get an impartial result, and I would be able to come to you with facts, not media, not hype, not exaggerations, just facts, simple and sustainable, because your health matters. So the first question, of course, is why does navigating Hashimoto's advice on social media feel so overwhelming? It's absolutely true because you're bombarded with conflicting claims. You got some people saying diet is the main thing, and then you have keto or detox. You have people talking about reversals. Well, Hashimoto's is complex. Autoimmune symptoms vary from person to person. Yes, in Hashimoto's, we have a lot of similarities. The fatigue, the bone weariness, the brain fog, the weight gain, things like that are pretty common with people with Hashimoto's, but no two people have the exact same root causes. You are an individual. And so when you're looking at things on social media, it can be hard because they're trying to appeal to a broad audience, and you are not a broad audience. You are one person. So that is one reason I created the Holistic Hashimoto's program. I wanted it to be able to cut through the noise. And as an RN, I spent 17 years in Western medicine. I went back to school for holistic health, and specifically for holistic health education and holistic health coaching. So that is my background. I've got the Western medicine, I've got the RN stuff, I've got the pharmaceutical background, been, talking to people about their medications and about their Synthroid for decades. And then I went back to school and I got the holistic picture. And so I get to put them all together. And yes, I am still an RN. So I created this program as an RN, which I feel is the first thing that stands out from my content versus others. A lot of other people have different backgrounds, obviously. And nurses, we were trained, at least in the 4-year program that I went through, and then the additional 2 years, I was trained to help educate patients so that they could be their own best advocate, so that they could figure out what they needed to do for their own health. That is one of my biggest roles as a nurse. And so you want to look for programs that prioritize your unique needs over a one-size-fits-all promise. And some of the programs that I looked at did have a one-size-fits-all promise. And to me, that is a red flag. If it's not teaching you how to filter through things to figure out what is going to apply to your situation, if it's just going to say everybody needs to do this, that's a red flag in my book because you're individual. And what everybody needs to do is usually, well, it can be misguided because you are unique. All right, but what about the content creators themselves and the creators of the programs? And I'm kind of talking about both of these things because a lot of the content creators do have a program, and a lot of the programs do have a social media presence. Some of them are not a content creator themselves, but they're represented by other content creators. So there really is this huge overlap. The question is, how can you tell if a Hashimoto's program or content creator is trustworthy, and what role do credentials play in choosing the right one? There are a lot of regulated titles. When I'm looking at the top 10 different programs, you see RNs like myself, you see registered dietitians, you see pharmacists, you see doctors, DOs, and MDs, and those all signal that people have a deeper training. Now, yes, we live in the world where all of this information is at the tip of your fingers. So people can learn. I'm absolutely not discounting that. We can all learn. And sometimes you learn more, not in school. But people who have those regulated titles, they do have specific training in specific areas. And I do put a little more weight on that. Another thing I look at is how much do they sell with anecdotes? Now, a testimonial and anecdote, they are great, and we need them. We need to know that this has worked for other people. We want to know that. But at the same time, if that's how they are backing all of their information, that makes me worried. When I went back to school for holistic health, every single module that we would do, I would be given a packet of research to read. And those packets were studies. They were all peer-reviewed studies, and they would be between 100 and 300 pages, just jam-packed. Every single one was just full of studies. And my job at school was to go through that entire packet. I had to read the whole thing, and then I had to compile it all into something that made sense. I needed to write a paper as if I was educating one of my clients or patients and give them a whole person perspective. So I was trained to look at dozens of studies and put all of that information together in a way that made sense, and then apply it to real life, body, mind, spirit, diet, environment. That training was amazing. And, doing that for 2 years, that sure taught me how to look at studies, which, side note, it just makes me kind of giggle when people are like, learn to read the research. Yep, done. I know how to read the research. And then to explain it to others. And I want people to always have that foundation of facts. Yes, apply it to real life and tell people how things, how lives have been changed. We want to hear those stories. And I will admit, if you have listened to this podcast, that's probably the thing I do the worst on. I don't share as many testimonials as I should because I am so focused on facts, because that's kind of my brain. Other people are more focused on stories, and that's totally fine. But I want to make sure that when I am looking at a content creator or at a course creator, that they are rooted in facts. Credentials matter because a lot of people who are trained in specific programs, they have been taught to look at the facts. And again, I'm not saying that other people can't. It's just one reason why I do put a little bit more trust in somebody who has regulated title. You can't just call yourself a nurse, although people do. It is a regulated title. You have to have the training, and you have to have a license. You have to maintain that license. There are a lot of things. And the next thing I want to know is, what are they talking about for root cause? And then what does it really mean to address the root cause of Hashimoto's? And why do some programs overpromise results. And that's a big red flag if somebody is overpromising results. Now, all of the programs that I looked at, they want to target root causes, whether that's gut or stress or toxins. Most of them are supported by science, at least of what I could find. But some of them do have, in my view, they overpromise the results. They claim that if you go through their program or their course, that you will have reversed your Hashimoto's, or that most of the people go into remission. Well, that's awesome. And I'm happy that people have success. But quite honestly, that is a huge claim to make. And it makes me a little nervous. I am not going to claim that the people going through my course or program are in remission or that they have reversed it. I am going to give you the tools to figure out your root causes. And then I am going to give you tools and solutions to implement so that you can deal with those root causes. It is up to you to implement them. I don't have control over that. I have control over the education I give you and the direction that I point you. And yes, people have success and people are starting to feel like themselves again, actually fairly quickly. There are different things that you can do that make a big impact. I just feel like it is a red flag if I see the words remission or reversed on a sales page. To me, that is my lens. Maybe some people appreciate it. So getting back to that root cause question, what are you looking for? Well, all of the programs do emphasize like identifying and addressing root causes of Hashimoto symptoms. And I want to find a program that is helping me focus specifically on my own things. And again, not across the board. I am a bio individual, as you are, and I want things to align with functional medicine principles and personal triggers. So to give you a specific example, like if somebody says, in my program, you are going to do this specific diet, that's fine. And they're going to help you go through it. And perhaps the diet works for you, perhaps it doesn't. I haven't seen a single diet that is 100%. 80% is the highest that I have seen in the research and, backed by studies, backed by results. So I want a course creator to say, you're going to do this, you're going to implement it, and you're going to see how you do. And then maybe it's not the right fit for you. And some people, they just don't do that. They say, you're going to follow this diet and you're going to feel amazing. And then voila. That's a sales page. And that's not me. I love facts, not sales, not hype, not media. I want the facts. All right, the next question, and I hear this one a lot in different holistic circles. It is, how can we make holistic health more approachable? Or put another way, why are affordable and accessible Hashimoto's programs so hard to find? And it's true. A lot of holistic health stuff or functional health stuff is more expensive. And part of that, we've talked about it before, it's a broken insurance system. It's a broken Western medical system. There's so many broken things. And so when providers work outside of the insurance model, then they do have to charge more because they are actually, creating their own prices. In traditional Western medicine, if you go to a regular, quote, regular clinic, it's the insurance company that sets the price. The insurance company tells your doctor or your nurse practitioner how long they can spend with you, how many minutes they have with you, how many patients they have to see in a day, and how much the insurance company is going to reimburse them for every single patient. It is all set by the insurance company. And we don't have that in functional medicine or in holistic health, people who have gone outside of the traditional practice. And that is awesome. I've told you about my nurse practitioner. When I make a consult with her, when I see her and I do it virtually, I have a half an hour because she sets her own time. She doesn't have to abide by what the insurance company says. And then I pay her directly. I can use my HSA or my FSA card, which is awesome. If you have that, it's tax-free. It's pre-tax money set aside through your work. I love that option. And the thing is, a lot of programs that you're going to enroll in yourself, they do cost $500 or more, or they require ongoing subscriptions, and that can create a barrier. So Another problem is the low-cost options might lack depth or content. So how do you find that balance? Something that you can afford, but that's also trustworthy, that's gonna actually help you. It's not just gonna provide a Band-Aid. We don't want Band-Aid approaches. And maybe that can use HSA or FSA options for payment. When I was a baby business owner, I had just left, or I was working on leaving the emergency department and opening up my own practice online. And I did hire a coach, and you don't know what you don't know, right? And this business coach was so focused on money. He wanted me to charge $3,000, or maybe it was 5,000, and then he felt bad because I was like a deer in the headlights, and he cut it down to 3,000. I just can't charge that in in good conscience, because I want more people to be able to take it. And that is why my course, for your entire 4 weeks, for the whole course, it's only $197, because my goal is that as many people as possible can take it. And I know that if I charge $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 like that coach wanted me to do, then it's going to be out of reach for a lot of people. Also, to make my course more accessible for people, I did make it available through HSA and FSA. Now, that is a tax thing. That's through the IRS. I had to make sure that I had my ducks in a row, because you can't just say, oh, sure, use your HSA or FSA. You have to actually do legal things to make sure that it's kosher, and it is. So you can use your HSA or FSA. On the website, I have a letter that you can print out and take it to your doctor in case you want extra documentation, in case you would get audited. Because here's the thing for HSA and FSA, to be eligible, it has to be treating a diagnosed condition. That is what the IRS says. The IRS, of course, they're for your best health and your best welfare, right? Now, they're all about the money, and they only want you to use HSA and FSA dollars to pay for diagnosed things. And as a part of that, what you're using your HSA and FSA on needs to be something that your doctor thinks is part of your treatment plan. That is what the IRS says. I don't have any control over that. And so some courses are not going to be HSA or FSA eligible. Mine is. The Holistic Hashimoto's program is HSA and FSA eligible. And like I said, I do have a letter in case you want documentation saying I do have this diagnosis and my doctor thinks that this program is part of my treatment plan. And I explain in the letter to the doctor, what it is, so that your doctor can sign off. And it makes it super easy, just one little signature. All right, so the final question that I am going to look through when I'm looking at a course or a program is, how can we choose a Hashimoto's program that empowers me without falling for high-pressure sales tactics? Because like I said, I hired that business coach, and it was high-pressure sales tactics. I was a baby business owner. I didn't know what I didn't know, and now I absolutely know what to look for in a business coach, and I apply that to looking for other coaches and programs as well. We do not want high-pressure sales tactics. I want you to look for something that teaches you to be the best advocate for yourself. Every program that I've seen, it does want to empower you to have better health, but the best ones teach you how to understand your own health, how to talk to doctors, how to figure out what's going to work for you. The best coaches, the best programs, the best courses empower you to graduate from that program as a better decision maker for your own health. And that is what I want for you. So yes, there are some people who are just more aggressively, pushing their sales. That's fine. That is their personality. Look for somebody who is going to help you be a better you. Have better health at the end. You've implemented and you are seeing changes, but also you're thinking differently. You're able to filter through the information that's coming in so that you know what's going to work for you, and you can disregard what's not going to work for you. Focus on somebody, on influencers, on content creators, on course creators. Focus on the ones that empower you. Number one, that is my biggest thing. They have to have all of their content rooted in truth and facts, and they have to make it simple. They have to make it sustainable, because if it's not rooted in truth and facts, then who cares what they say, right? And if it's not simple, then it's probably not going to be easily implemented into your life. And if it's not sustainable, then you just wasted your time and your money. It has to be those three things. It has to be true. It has to be simple. It has to be sustainable. And that is what I look for in a program. I hope this is helpful. I hope that this does help to answer that question in the DM. I didn't go into specific reels and carousels and things that different content creators have shared, but I hope I did teach you how I look at different things. Is it true? Is it simple? Is it sustainable? Can I trust the person who is talking? So hop down to the show notes, click on the link, healthwithhashimotos.com. You will see the Holistic Hashimoto's program at the top. You'll see all the information. But my course is designed to meet you where you are. It is affordable. You can use your HSA or your FSA. My course is about clear steps, not quick fixes. I want you to have the best health possible. So check it out at healthwithhashimotos.com or head down to the show notes and click the link there. I'll see you next week. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any changes with your trusted healthcare provider. To take your next step, join our school community and explore the courses available there. You do not have to figure your health out alone. So that is school, SKOOL.com, and it is the Health with Hashimoto's community. I'll see you next time on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast.